Hey guys, and welcome to Dinocide. Dinocide is going to be the third in the series of reviews that I am doing to clear out my backlog of games I was given a code for. So, in the effort of full disclosure, I was given a review code for this game. My biases lie where they do. Same shtick as every video. So Dinocide came out, I think, back in January, and I played it for a while back then. And then I got, just adjust my headset here, I never finished the review, and I picked it up a couple times meaning to do the review, and then something would happen or something would go horribly wrong and I couldn't do the review. And so you see in the corner there I'm playing version 1.4.4, so there's been at least 4 major content patches since release. As far as I can tell, the only major change was an opening cutscene that plays when you start a new file in story mode, so you'll see that when we get into that. I want to go to the options menu first and discuss some things in here. By default, this is on perfect, which isn't the full width of my screen. I'm going to keep it on stretched, and I'm just trying to see if there's a massive difference. It doesn't look like it. Language, you can change languages. I'm going to keep it on English for what should be obvious reasons. It's my native tongue. And gamepad, I'm playing this with a 360 controller. If you are as well, I encourage you to come in and change your key bindings. By default, jump is on like B or something and not A. And like I was not a fan of the initial key bindings, so I rebound them, which took me like 3 times to get right because the key bindings were a little finicky. So we're going to start a new story mode file here. I'm going to delete this one because that was just a test one. This one, I mean, I can delete this one too. There we go. So this is the opening cutscene that they patched in at some point. You play as a caveman who has a cave lady that is taken from him by a giant mountain. In his off-screen hands. And there's a not quite Wilhelm scream as she's taken away by the mountain, and so he rushes into action. So what is Dinocide? Dinocide is an action platformer. I don't even know if you'd say action. I think it's just a platformer. And I'm going to stay on this screen for a little bit. Dinocide is a platformer that tries really hard to harken back to and capitalize on the nostalgia of NES-era platformers. So I want you to just look at this screen for a minute and tell me what you think I'm supposed to do here. I think in the initial version, the start and return buttons were not here. And because that cutscene was not there, when you started the story mode file, you were just left on this screen. So it's definitely an improvement from what my initial impressions of the game were. But it's not great. So here we are, and very much like Mario, you were just thrust in with no explanation. B is where I put my rock throwing ability on. I don't have anything on the X button, which was in the corner of the A, because I don't have anything with special abilities yet, and I can jump with A. The jumping controls, and you see now I've changed my rock for an X, which lets me hit this guy. And I can't break these skulls, which I thought I could. And I'm going to die because I don't have food. So, Dinocide. We're going to start that level again, and we're going to do it right this time. I don't know how I feel about the first level's design here. You see that bar at the top? That is your stamina health bar. Every time you use an ability or move or just over time in general, that bar will decrease. And it's also your health bar. If you get hit, you will lose that bar. And you see here, you need to pick up food to fill the bar back up, because the bar acts as your timer for the level. And you can get food out of bushes as well. I do like how they set up that dinosaur to basically make you learn that food is in bushes. I don't like how if you dilly-dally and try and figure out the controls, you won't figure out that you need to eat, and you'll just die on the first level. But at the same time, it is really good design. in a way, I'm conflicted about the design of the first level. I mean, I'm conflicted about the design of the game overall, but we'll get into that. So now you see, we picked up an axe in the last level, so we have one axe. So we can change the rock to be an axe. And we can go through here, and now we are in this volcano land. And the music changed. The music, I dig the music. The music's decent, like, chiptune arrangements. There's a skeleton with a baseball cap. We will discuss things like him much later. Kill the bat, keep going, and over. I see the cherry down there. I'm going to ignore it and keep the high ground. That might be a bad idea. We'll see. This. Now, I walk into that egg and suddenly I have a dinosaur who can traverse lava. And if I hit the X button now, I shoot fireballs. So the game has, oh, and you see I took damage there from the bat. The game has a bunch of mounts. And here they tutorialize that you can shoot walls with the fireballs. And I think the level's got to be done soon. This one has a little fancier skeleton. There we go. That's the end of that level. So we'll go into level 3 here, which, if I'm not mistaken, is underwater. And for some reason, I have to confirm my selection with the B button here instead of the A button. I don't know why the confirmation button is bound to your attack instead of your jump, because I think most people would expect their jump to be on A, so they would expect to confirm menus with A, and I'm not a fan of the key bindings, but I changed as much as I could and it won't let me change more. So I'll just have to live with it. So you see we got to enter the level with the Tyrannosaurus here, kind of like if you had a Yoshi. But they immediately tell you, no, this is a water level, you have to do it with this dinosaur, who spits bubbles. Which I'm pretty sure the Loch Ness Monster wasn't even a dinosaur. I think this is supposed to be a plesiosaur. Like, I'm being a little facetious here, but if you hold down, you go down a little faster. Try and kill that guy. That up. Grab that steak, and here they tutorialize you. I think there was one of these in the area with the cherries that I skipped past in the last level, but those little crystals you can smash open for gems, and you use the gems in shops, I think? I think there's one in the next level, but I could be wrong about that. I know I did see one shop in, like, all the story mode, and I don't know how far I got through the story mode on the file I deleted, but I did play through it a little bit here. Just sneak around him. Grab that cherry. Whoa! Alright. We'll pick up pineapple, and that should be it. And now if we go and select the next level, you can see we can choose from either R1 Plesiosaur or R1 Tyrannosaurus. I'm actually going to go back out as soon as I can figure out how to back out to the main menu. Start, there we go, save and quit. Alright, so there are two other modes here. There's speedrun mode, which you just complete special speedrun levels and achieve the best time that you can. We'll do one of those. Oops, he gets me, but it's fine, they put the cherry there. The controls are not the best. Ah, fuck. Go away, snake. The jumps feel really, I don't know, like, the controls aren't tight, but they're not loose and floaty. Like, I'm trying to think of a game to compare them to, and they don't feel, I'm gonna die here. Oh, maybe I won't. Hold up. AVG, not now. Continue. Still lacking food. Got hit by the snake. They don't feel like nice and floaty like Mario. You have no real air control, which I feel like is an important part of a platformer's control. And there's a boss rush. Defeat bosses, unlocking weapons, can be the best time. We need to complete story mode first, so I can't do it yet. I don't think I ever actually even saw a boss doing the story mode, but I might have done one. So Dinocide. It's what? It's $10 US, I think 11 Canadian. The Canadian price might fluctuate with the dollar because their dollar's terrible, but it's $10 US. One of the taglines, I think, was mounts make you faster, stronger. And the problem with this is I find that there's no reason... I'm going to go back to playing through the story mode while I talk here. The problem is that there's no reason not to use a mount. Outside of, oh, I don't think I'll be able to complete the level with the mount at the end. But even then, I feel like you still bring the mount anyway because it makes you better at completing the actual level. You're significantly neutered. Like you see, oh jeez, you see that I move faster and have more options for attack available to me with the dinosaur compared to when I was in Speed Rush a second ago. Oh shit, this is not going well. So now I've lost the dinosaur. So that would be, I guess, the reason not to bring them out. But I'm pretty sure I would have died much earlier without the dinosaur. So, and now I have freaking arrows, which are pretty good. Oh, there you go, got him. So there's no reason not to bring mounts in a level, which it feels, I don't know, it feels strange. We'll pick up our bird here, whose attack is a sweet jump kick. Except it has that annoying audio clip that plays every time, so you hesitate to use it. Oh jeez, we're just gonna leave him. You want to use this to move, but that awful audio clip makes me hate using it to move. I'm trying to get to the point, and we're not there yet. At some point, the levels do split, so you can choose who you want to, or which. Did I hit the wrong button? Oh, I hit return, didn't I? Which levels you want to go to. So you can split, like there's split paths as far as the level layout on the world map, which non-linear progression I'm always a fan of. Especially since that means I guess you could pick up different mounts at different places, and I imagine you can go back and do previous levels to get new mounts or something. But I haven't actually tried now that I think about it. I kind of wish I hadn't picked up axe there, but it's got the old Castlevania problem of some sub-weapons you just like more. Oh, jeez. Ooh. So you don't want to pick up new ones sometimes? Like, I prefer arrow over axe, but this does mean that once we finish the level, we'll have an extra axe. Get our bonus gems from up there. This skeleton, now is as good a time as any, I suppose, to complain about the aesthetic of the game. I think my biggest gripe with the game, and the reason I'm basically unable to enjoy it at all, is almost purely an aesthetic choice. Like, there are some mechanical qualms I have. The timing on... Like, I'm mashing the B button here, and because you see that stamina bar up in the top left. The stamina bar is keeping me from doing attacks all the time, which I feel like the stamina bar isn't a necessary limiter. The feeling of the jump controls, and I don't know how to explain this much better. I actually like the bird more, if not for his awful squawk. Oh, and here's our boss. Okay, so I did fight a boss. Ooh. I'm just going to concentrate just a little bit here. You can probably hear me just spamming arrows. And he's going to switch sides. Whoa! The aesthetics, I really dislike the aesthetic choices. Like, it just looks bad, I think is my grief with it. And it feels like there's no cohesive flow with what's going on. You saw those skeletons, whatever the hell that is there. This is the level I know is the shop. Like, whatever the hell that guy down there is supposed to be, I don't know. It's certainly not a dinosaur. And then there's spiders, and then I think we'll see them in a second. But there's also... yeah, these. Freaking Caterpie. Like, that's just Caterpie. Why? What does that have to do with, like, prehistoric? I don't understand the aesthetic of the game at all. And then there's this, like, woolly blob that shoots, like, lasers. It's very confusing. However, there's a shop here we're gonna buy. I want to buy the arrow, but I'm lacking the gems. Mostly I want to lose my bird there. And this level in specific is like the best example for why I dislike the game. Just the aesthetic. I'm not a fan of the whole, like, 8-bit pixel arty aesthetic. I understand that's what they're going for. Sure. You did it. You got it. But did I lose my bird when I bought that egg? That's strange. That seems like a bug that I lost my bird there. But yeah, like, okay, we have our caveman. He has cave tools. And we have a dinosaur. And then we've got enemies like that are Caterpie skeletons with baseball caps and hats and laser shooting furballs. I don't get why. It's almost as if they just designed a bunch of different creatures and just put them in regardless of aesthetic. Like, the spiders are even a stretch. And I don't know what the hell that is supposed to be. And I'm gonna harp on this for a while because I'm trying to concentrate on actually playing the game. But it's my biggest gripe. And there are other things that are wrong with the game. Like, there are things that are good about the game. Non-linear progression, totally good. As you see here, this is where I was trying to get to, was the point where you can see that I can now split paths. Non-linear progression, I'm always a fan of. It does not appear that you can revisit levels at all, which is kind of a shame. Different environments, like you saw that there was a sand level, there was volcano levels, there was underwater levels, as terrible as underwater levels always are. Foresty levels, like, that's fine. I'm glad it wasn't just one level over and over again. But the weird creatures, no, 90% of these enemies look out of place and don't make any sense. The time-life mechanic, I mean, I guess it works. It feels a little unnecessary. It feels like it just forces you to rush and not explore the world design. It's great that there's, story, speedrun, boss rush. Those are great. But again, I'm trying really hard to like it, because it's not terrible. I think it's largely just the aesthetic, and because it's trying really hard to be this nostalgic as NES-era 8-bit game. But I feel like it doesn't understand that era was all about pushing boundaries. And I feel like this is not even just a gripe with Dinocide. This is a gripe with basically anything ever that appeals almost solely to nostalgia. Is that was about doing more than, your limitations provided you. And all these things that harp on nostalgia like Dinocide, they arbitrarily limit themselves. And which is the complete opposite, like, idea space that those games were working in. And this aesthetic doesn't work. The mechanics all feel awful. Like, just the jumping doesn't feel good. If you have a platformer and your jumping doesn't feel good, you need to start, like, from scratch again. And I get the impression that the jumping mechanics feel bad and that the aesthetic looks bad, all in the name of being retro, which is a terrible reason, because there's no reason that warrants making what amounts to a bad game on purpose for the sake of making a bad game. That's a dumb idea, and I feel like that's what Dinocide has done here, is that they've made the game bad on purpose to say, hey, check it out, we've got an old school game. Kind of like when some games make unfair, arbitrary, bullshit difficulty spikes and then say they're like Dark Souls, which they don't understand what Dark Souls is about. They just go with the whole, oh, it's hard thing. I feel like Dinocide is doing the same thing. The alternative choice is that Dinocide was a bad game to begin with, and the nostalgia retro bend is applied after the fact as a cover-up, and I want to believe that that's not something the devs would do. So I have to believe that they had a mindset. We're gonna make this retro NES dinosaur platformer, which sounds great on paper, but the execution is just bad. It just feels like they made a bad game on purpose for the sake of making a bad game. And so like I honestly can't recommend Dinocide to anybody. Like, it's just not good, and it's certainly not worth $10. If you can get it in a bundle or on sale and you really want to play because there's some interesting things here. The different mechanics around dinosaurs is interesting. I just feel like there's no reason to have the gimped no dinosaur part of you where you lack a special attack. You move clunkier. It just sucks. That awful screeching on the bird, I wish was not there, because then that bird would be amazing. You could use it to move around the map. I haven't seen all the dinosaurs, I haven't seen all the bosses, I haven't seen all the weapons, because that's the point that I just got to was about the point that I can put up with Dinocide, and at that point I'm kind of done with it. If you really want a dinosaur platformer, I'll have a link to the Steam store page in the description. You can check it out yourself, but I'd hold off until you can get it for way less than $10, because right now it's certainly not worth $10. And honestly, I'm sure there are thousands of better options out there for you. You could just emulate any other NES platformer, and you'd probably have a better time than with Dinocide. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.